Drone Girl carefully loaded it up with some of the sauce and the holiday eggs so they would explode on impact and spread through the area. The most likely houses where the drugs are manufactured got identified and marked. Drone Girl wanted to do one more recon of the area to make absolutely sure these were the bad guys. He said it was fine, as they still needed to get everyone on position at the ridge for the ambush. Drone Girl flew her repair drone overhead again, even higher this time for safety. She saw where swimming pools were filled with used body parts and discarded. And clothes were being used as fuel in burn barrels for cooking. There was a guy out front of one of the larger houses with a goat-looking skull on his head. He appeared to have a staff made of various human bones with a human skull on top. He was ordering people around and pointing his staff, and it all looked like they were pulling even more people out to the altar. The people weren't even putting up a fight. I've seen enough. Everyone in place, over. Copy on the ridge. Copy, ready for roadblock. Copy, ready to send the payload. Everyone wait for them to come to us. We only get one shot at this. Send it. I repeat, send it. Chapter 22, Yeehaw. Near DMZ Park, evening. They all heard a large truck engine rev and then fall off a hill perfectly onto a lever system. A pile of bodies all flung at incredible speed, and moments later, about 300 meters away, it began to rain dead cultist bodies. Drone Girl watched as they were shocked and stunned at this sudden special delivery. They're buzzing like ants, and some of them are pointing to where it came from. Copy that. Send in the roadblock. Let's give them something to pay attention to. With that, they heard another big engine rev up. A military surplus Humvee rolled up the road and turned parallel, an M249 mounted on top. These trucks were sold back to the civilian market pre-collapse at almost giveaway prices as the military moved up to designs more suited for IEDs. So the parts were cheap and readily available, along with full replacements if you wanted. Another guy had been doing nothing but collecting various milsurp armors off the internet from retired helicopters. He also had, with the help of local mechanics, repurposed windshields from decommissioned aircraft, so the vehicle was, for all intents and purposes, extremely bulletproof. It started taking a few light hits, but mostly misses. It was far enough out to where only their biggest and heaviest stuff could hope to reach, but they could see it, and it was making the cultists angry. They wasted a ton of ammo falling short, or a few glancing hits before they smacked each other and stopped. 2 more vehicles pulled up behind the Humvee to protect its flanks in a wedge. The Humvee air system let the air out of the tires and it sank to the ground, creating a wall of double armor. That would be their forward operating base for the operation. From the ridge, the guy with the 50 cal started taking slow and methodical shots at who looked like sharpshooters or anyone with optics. The guy with the SOCOM 16 had a great scope also and was able to pick off someone that lugged around an RPG trying to get into position. As they scanned for more priority threats, they saw a children's playground that looked like it turned into a training camp. It had training dummies that were dressed like the coastal team. Several of the garage doors opened and everyone was notified over comms. They saw people being injected with more drugs and then sent out on bicycles. You got maybe 50 sickos on bicycles headed your way all hopped up. Yeah, you also got maybe another 100 that are going to be in sprint mode. Copy, we see the gate opening. Keep up the good work. I think we got this. Keep up the good cover. The gate opened and cultists on bicyclists pedaled with all the power their bodies and drugs could muster right out the wedge. Nines was all ready for this though and was controlling a drone over them that they failed to notice. When it was time, she dropped some of the holiday eggs on the tail end of their crazy train. They wouldn't be able to retreat now. As soon as the crazies got within range of the M249, everyone opened up. The bicyclists were the first to fall, although they were the hardest to hit due to their speed. 2 guys with M203 grenade launchers to break the rush's momentum. There were no discernible screams, only people that looked like a mix of cultists and insane asylum escapees, running around confused and dying. Some of them looked like they were swatting at invisible bugs, or maybe fighting with invisible people. The ones that weren't covered in months of caked blood before this day all got their equal measure. There had been a slight elevation to where the roadblock was that the crazies hadn't anticipated. Enflamed fire combined with an ideal beacon zone matched up well with the structure of the rushing force. The tail end of the group, who had only been jogging instead of sprinting, all took weapons out of their coats and started firing at the roadblock. The Ridge forces fired down into the gun-toting cultists, taking them by complete surprise. The entirety of the action took less than 10 minutes as the cultists took heavy losses. Reports of inside the courtyard were described as panic. Apparently they'd always been able to ambush or rush away from their problems, but not this time. As the sun began to set, in a final attempt at defiance, they all crammed themselves into the biggest building that looked like it was hell's version of a temple. They proceeded to board up the doors and set the building on fire with them inside. Nobody in the group knew what to say, and they all rallied back at the rear operating base. As everyone was being accounted for, a drone girl brought her drone back and brought her daytime drone back and sent out her night drone. If any bad guys were out there, she didn't see them. They weighed their options, and not seeing anyone around the compound, they used the drones to drop off all the road flares on key houses. The flares were strategically dropped on houses that would burn all the rest down, and as they lit, the fire burned hot and kept finding chemical labs. The drones were recalled, and the teams drove off as the area started its nightly sprinkling. Chapter 23, Prologue. The coming months. All of the houses were destroyed, and the psycho-cannibals were never seen or heard from in the area again. Drug manufacturers way down, which helped Puyallup gain control of Tacoma from the gangs, and word spread of a badass coastal team that wiped out a cult linked to over 2,000 murders. Some sources put the number up closer to 5,000, but no more towns would disappear in their bizarre style ever again. It wasn't long before the mid-southwest of the state was accessible to the coast and trade could open. In turn, by the next spring, the coast got to use the mid-southwest trade hubs and linked up with Puyallup as well. It would be hard to do enough farming without mechanized equipment, but with all the groups trading info and goods, they might have a chance at surviving. With the coastal team taken care of and locked down, Nines and Drone Girl set off to meet new teams scattered throughout the rest of the southwest of the state. If they were lucky, maybe they could also score drone parts. Maybe more people would need drones built for them. Spaz was happy to come along for the ride, and even happier to be part of such a great family. So they took the right comms channels so all the teams could eventually talk to each other, and off they went to find other strongholds rumored to exist. Chapter 24, Wrapping Up, Classroom, Current Time. The kids all looked at me, grossed out. Did that really happen? The children skeptically asked me as usual. As far as I know, a lot of people were there to witness it. Well, it was a pretty gross story. Yeah, it was a pretty gory story, way more than usual. I'm sorry, I mean, I tried to tone it down. They were bad people, you know? I paused and waited to see if anyone had anything else to say, and they all stared at me blankly. So, do we know what the moral of the story was? 9mm is a good caliber? Drones are awesome and super helpful? Don't eat people? Librarians are amazing? Dogs are helpful? Yep, you are all on point. All of those are correct. You all did great today. You deserve a round of applause. They all clapped for each other and looked very happy. I thought to myself, I sure hope this doesn't give them bad dreams, but I imagine with what they've been through, they already have had much worse. I know I do. The parents all picked up their kids, and the first thing out of one of the kids' mouths were, I'm sure glad we don't eat people. The parents all looked at me, and I shrugged. One little girl walked up to me and asked if the drone girl was real. I responded that sometimes if you're really good, she'll come bring a drone to play with. That got her all excited, and she hopped off with her family, vowing to do her best so she can grow up like Drone Girl. Another girl was running around with pointy fingers, pew-pewing everything, saying, I have the best caliber ever. Her dad tried to correct her that 40 was better, and she defiantly laughed at him in a mocking tone and said, "Friends don't let friends buy 40, Dad," which shocked him. Before he could recover, she got her stuff and headed out for the evening, dragging him with. When the last of the parents got their kids, I packed up and went to my tiny home. I've been fighting off a huge cold, and I think it was finally catching up to me. It's probably why I told them one of the gorier stories on accident, because I wasn't thinking straight. When I went inside, there was a dead rat by my tiny dinner table. My cat looked quite proud of herself. I got my little trench shovel, scooped it up, took it outside and buried it. I got some natural lemon cleaner that someone made for everyone and sprayed a little bit on the spot and my shovel so hopefully there would be no germs. My tiny home lit up like fresh lemons, which also made my cold and sinuses feel better. Before long, I fell fast asleep, and a three-story tall monster claiming to be the Big S was in front of me. Unflinchingly, I motioned to rip him apart at a 45-degree angle with my hands, with as much energy as I had. He retained his poise for a moment, then withdrew, leaving many small minions in his wake. They all went down effortlessly, and I was able to sleep peacefully the rest of the night. And that is the end of Book 11, everybody. Thank you so much, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Bye-bye.